Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Art is an expression of self, and it is subjective. If you were to call something art, then it is art. If you were to call something good art, it is not necessarily good art. You can express yourself, and it will be artistic, and you can call it art. Other people will not like how you've expressed it, and they will not think that it is any good as art. And that is exactly what we've seen here. From the Britain's Got Talent performance of quote-unquote diversity, that now the complaints rise to 10,000. And this is actually vitally important because the whole idea from the cathedral, if you will, for quite a while now, has just been to be too overwhelming that the regular folk, the normies, if you will think, well, yeah, we're probably wrong. It doesn't really matter what we think. We just don't quite understand what's going on, and we should probably try and get on board and go with the flow because we don't want to cause problems. But when you get 10,000 complaints for a TV show, bear in mind, people aren't watching TV nearly as much as they used to be, then you know there's a problem, which for us is a good thing because, of course, we need that kind of disruption. That when the echo chambers spin so far out of control that then when they finally come out with something, it is too far off the deep end and the slippery slope or foot in the door theory doesn't hold because the leap is too great, then you get this pushback. And that is exactly what we need. And when you have something which is too far gone, or that the mask slips too obviously, then of course it makes people aware because it's very jarring. And then it causes them to think more objectively and more in depth about the other things, and then realize that there are other connections that they weren't aware of before. So this, actually, from a tactical perspective in more Machiavellian terms, plays into our hands remarkably well. And so it is good that this is then also publicized because it is drawing more attention to more people, and by saying that there are other complaints, then it's validating what most people are thinking, which is, this seems a bit excessive. And then they're seeing that there's support for their view of it seeming a bit excessive, and it snowballs. It's then that the momentum gets underway, and it will have fantastic effects. So we need to publicise more and more from this, and good job BBC for getting it well known. That's good for the rest of us. Sure, you're trying to take out your rivals of ITV, but who cares? Because of the angle where the complaints are being taken, it's taking out the BBC as well. So more than happy with them to keep doing this. So in case you didn't know, what happened? Well, more than 10,000 people have complained to media watchdog Ofcom about Saturday's Britain's Got Talent, which featured a Black Lives Matter-inspired routine by dance troupe Diversity, the 2009 winners. Diversity, funny that. And their point, essentially, is that it was their truth. It was to express how the events of this year have made them feel. And that was it. It's like not actually look into what has happened and what should be done about this, and maybe encourage people to be more essentially law-abiding citizens, but it's just moral individuals with or without the law. It doesn't matter. It's down to morality. And instead of saying maybe we should have more people to go down that route, no. It's just, hey, if somebody's black, let's say they're a saint, even if they're essentially a career criminal, like somebody like George Floyd, or if there's a warrant out for an arrest for a multiple sexual assaulter that then has broken their restraining order, like Jacob Blake, then has a weapon, says they will go get the weapon, and is then shot by the police to neutralise the threat, to use the technical term, then apparently they are still also a saint, and it is bloody ridiculous. Really is. And then the whole I can't breathe thing, which is what George Floyd was saying before he was put on the ground, and he was only put on the ground because he wanted to be put on the ground, and the police only restrained him as they did because that is exactly what they had been trained to do. And from the 2012 study, it showed that there was not any chance of any adverse side effects from using that hold, and it is also necessary when somebody claims to have coronavirus, given what the legislation is about that and how concerned people are. So if you don't want that kind of thing used, the same with spitheads, then maybe don't overblow the Wu flu. That's a simple solution as well. Maybe you can consider that. But no, of course not. Instead, Jordan said, it was really important, it was special to us, and we're all about positivity and love. It's a very divisive topic you've picked for that. And we got so much positivity and love back from this one. Well, you've got to cherry pick. But we also got bombarded with messages and articles about horrible stuff, about all of us, about our families, about how even now diversity isn't diverse enough because there's only 5 white people in it. There are all sorts of diversity. And if you're just going with mainstream narrative, it's not very diverse. But if you're going with skin colour, then you can never be diverse enough. Never. But as far as it goes with horrible stuff about them and their families, then, obviously, as we always all say, don't harass them, don't send threats to them. There's really no need for that. You make your point known. If they're offended by it and saying that it's horrible, then that's their problem. You've done nothing wrong. You're just making your opinion known. You're explaining how they've done a terrible thing. Simple as that. But let's not cross over into criminal intent. He goes on to say, I can't speak for anyone else, but it's sad. It's sad, genuinely. I feel anxious and worried saying something like Black Lives Matter when that's all we want, man. It's just love and positivity. No one's saying only Black Lives Matter. Well, they are, of course, and that's why saying White Lives Matter is apparently racist and white supremacist. So there seems to be a bit of a disconnect here. And saying all lives matter or blue lives matter is bad as well. And saying all lives matter is racist because you're not drawing particular attention to one particular race. You're treating everybody equally and not favouring one race, and therefore you're racist. It's very peculiar. The language games of the left will always be elusive because that's how they try and maintain control of the narrative, through language manipulation. So, from their atrocious performance, politically, early this week, an Ofcom spokesperson told the BBC, we are assessing the complaints about our broadcasting rules, but are yet to decide whether or not to investigate. The performance attracted both praise and scorn on social media for its political stance, with Ashley Banjo referring to both in a tweet after the show. And the complaints to Ofcom are good in order to make it known, but Ofcom in and of itself, should they really make any decision about it? Well, probably not. But should individuals decide to just stop watching this shit? Yes, of course they should. And I think that is much more likely to be the response from it. So they just turn it off, change the channel, ratings will go down, and therefore they won't be making enough money from their sponsorships, and the advertisements run in between because they don't get enough eyeballs on it, and it will just fall away into obscurity through that. Very straightforward. But Ashley Banjo did tweet out, so much to say, but I'll just let the performance talk. Thousands of messages of love and support, thank you. For the thousands of messages of hate and ignorance, thank you. You highlight exactly what needs to change, sending nothing but love to you all. And, I mean, that is sad, in a way, that somebody who may very well have the best of intentions, but is just incredibly misinformed and is therefore pushing a narrative that is just objectively false, but obviously they don't understand. So they say that they're going with supposedly love and positivity, but actually saying something incredibly divisive and, I mean, you could say controversial, or you could just say racist, if you wish to use their buzzwords. Well, whatever you wish to say, it's going to be true. But maybe they don't understand. You can give them the benefit of the doubt for that. But should they be pushing such a message of something they don't understand? No. Should they pay the consequences for that? Yes. Is that what seems to be happening? Yes. So, fair enough. Maybe just look into what you're going to be talking about before you do. Very straightforward, I think. So, as they say, the dance was also narrated and included the line, what we thought we knew, some clearly didn't, Black Lives Matter. Yes. And I think Black Fathers Matter is really the angle you wish to go in on this, if you think that Black Lives Matter. So the group who won the talent show in 2009 then all took a knee before the song Black Lives Matter by Dax began, which featured the lyrics, I can't breathe, the words Mr. Floyd repeatedly said as he was restrained. and before he was restrained because he was off his nuts. A Britain's Got Talent spokesperson said earlier this week Diversity's performance offered their take on the extraordinary events of 2020, opening up important topics of conversation. Like, black people seem to be committing violent acts and crimes a lot more than any other ethnicity. True. Not sure that's what you mean, though. And the show was compiled for a family audience. Yes, you've got to indoctrinate them while they're young. Ashley Banjo has taken Simon Cowell's place on the judging panel for this series after Cowell injured his back, which I think would just make enough people switch off and go, well, nah, I don't think we really want to be viewing this. If we're looking at Britain's Got Talent, I don't think it's relevant to bring in some American lies into it. So we'd rather not if you're just going to be pushing communism, which is what the Black Lives Matter organisation is all about. And yes, of course, it does make it difficult when Black Lives Matter, as a statement, is true. Definitely. Black lives do matter, yes, of course. But Black Lives Matter is also an organisation which is far more questionable insofar as the answer is yes, they are seeking communist ideals. So, as it stands, incredibly poor move by, if you take them at face value, people who just really didn't understand the context of what they were talking about, and the vast majority of normies do not wish to be lectured about politics when they're trying to enjoy a Saturday night entertainment show of Britain's Got Talent, as well, of all things, to then push in American politics. It is ridiculous. You've clicked on this video because you like politics, not because you were expecting some Saturday night entertainment. I'm sorry if you were. But, as always, let me know what you guys think down below. If the main problem was it's American politics for a Saturday night entertainment show, or it's because they were pushing a narrative that they didn't understand, and that is what the complaints have been from. Either way, I think it's good to see that the tide turning and people are willing to speak up and out about this. That is fantastic news. And as always, until next time, have a good one.